Hi guys, welcome back to Inside the GC. I'm Jake.
And I'm Charlotte.
And welcome back to part 2 of the reasons why you're not seeing results. So the previous episode, we touched on everything to do with nutrition. So hopefully you guys would have listened to that one and gone away with some light bulb moments or some things you can implement into your day-to-day. I know a lot of people have reached out and said they have, and that's the main reason why we do these. But today it's going to be all about training and lifestyle, which is probably the centerpiece around the reason why you're not seeing results, right? So what we did is we put up a poll and asked some questions on social media to see which ones came back, or the most popular ones, and then me and Charlotte are going to discuss these today. And also we're obviously going to spiral off into other topics and other conversations because it's almost like a spidergram that leads into that. So yeah, buckle up, my friends. Hopefully, because if you're listening to this at the right time, this is around the Christmas period. So this should help you navigate throughout this and take you off into the new year in good stead. So buckle up, my friends, and enjoy the ride.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also we will link the other episode if you haven't listened to that. And if you haven't listened to it, I'd highly recommend probably listen to it before you listen to this one, because if you can dial in on your nutrition, then the training becomes the easiest part.
Can't do one without the other.
Can't do one without the other. Can't out-train a bad diet,
Exactly
as they say.
that, yeah.
So we're going to just touch upon the first question, which I feel personally will probably be quite a prominent question that a lot of people will be wondering. And it's about the frequency and intensity of training. So we have how many times and how often should I be training? So we'll go for you first, Jake, and then we'll come over to... Yeah, you're kicking off, and then we'll go to me.
Okay, so the question is, how frequent should I be training and how intense, yeah? Cool. Well, this is a bit of a complex question, but there's some broad guidelines to stick to. So I always feel, again, this depends on your age, your goals, your training experience. There's a lot of things to factor in here. But in general, I always say to everyone, it should be, if you're just a general population person, let's say mid-30s to 40s, 50s, and you're looking to start something, it should be 3 times a week as a minimum effective dose to start seeing any kind of tangible results. But if we're looking at the other end of the spectrum and we're someone who's in the 60s, 70s, 80s category, just moving yourself twice a week, resistance training we're talking about here as well, which we'll dive into in a minute, would be sufficient, but obviously making sure that you're not a sedentary person, because it goes back to that, which we spoke about in the last podcast, right? We spoke about the importance of steps that links into your movement goals and links into your food. So if you're, again, there's so many factors. If you have a desk job, if you're on your feet all the time, if you work on a building site, your age, there's so many factors. But in general, every human in the world should be doing resistance training. I always say this all the time, and I've said this for the past 12 years, 15 years I've been doing this. If you want to be able to wipe your ass when you're older and live independently, you should be training. Simple as that, because everyone has to get up and down off a chair. Everyone has to get in and out of a car. Everyone has to reach up and grab things. You take your shopping in and out. That is what training is doing. It's actually training you for life. People do perceive training as, if you think back to like the 70s, 80s, 90s era of like a vanity thing, bodybuilding, they think it's a vanity thing, aesthetics, where that is the result that you get. That's the byproduct for your hard work. Where you should just be training so you can live a better quality, longer, healthier life without niggles and aches and pains. So everyone should be training.
Definitely.
To make sure that you're, trying to stay away from a nursing home. You can still run around after your grandkids. But 3 times a week, I would say, would be sort of the minimum effective dose. Answering the first part of that question.
I agree. I feel like there's so many variables, and this is a very, like you say, broad question, because everyone is so individual. So like not one person is going to be the same with their training program and their training experience. For example, I'm someone who can and has the capacity to train 5-6 times a week, whereas someone who's fairly a novice to the gym and has never gone, if they start going 5-6 times a week, they're going to crumble very quickly. Whereas because their capacity is quite low. So I agree with you saying like 3 weeks is a minimum dose. It's more than enough time to get enough rest days in as well, which we'll talk about rest days and recovery. But enough rest days so then you're actually feeling rested to get and actually allow, because a lot of people, you're going to get DOMs in the first couple of weeks of you training, specifically with the intensity of the training. So yeah, I agree, definitely. But there is a lot of variables with it, and dependent on, again, your goals and what you're after and why you're moving. I mean, as we all know, like even just the recommended movement activity of 30 minutes a day is out there anyway, like 7 times a week, 30 minutes a day. Like you can see goal changes on there, whether you even just walk 30 minutes a day. Like you say, as long as you're doing some movement, as long as you're getting some activity in there, like you'll start to see your results. Definitely. There's a lot of people who start their journeys on just walking, especially if they've never been to the gym before, they'll just start to walk.
Yeah, you've got to learn to walk before you run, right?
Exactly. So yeah, I agree with you definitely. I
feel like if we took 3 different examples there and we put myself, you, and let's make this really easy and say like your mum, who I don't know your mum or her lifestyle, but all 3 of us are very different. Mm-hmm. All 3 of us have different lives.
Yep.
Me and you have the same job.
Yes.
But you're in your 20s with no children.
Yeah.
I'm in my 30s with 3 children.
Yeah.
You're busy working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, pretty much, as am I. I don't know what your mum gets up to.
9 to 5.
9 to 5.
9
busy,
to 5. Yeah. Weekends off.
But our
Grandma,
training schedules will look very different. Obviously, Charlotte and I are both health professionals. This is what we do, and this is what we've been doing for such a long time. So like Charlotte said, the variables dictate how much someone should be doing. So before I had kids, I'd train 6-7 days a week, no problem, twice a day.
Yep.
And as I added children to my house, 1 to 2 to 3, my training schedule gets smaller and smaller and smaller on top of being obviously a business owner.
Yep.
That takes up a lot of my time. And I go through this guilt of if I try and train during the day, that's an hour of the day that I could be working or should be doing one of the million things that's on my tick list. So for me, here's an example. This week I've trained once in 7 days. It's not out of not wanting to. I wanted to train every fucking day.
Yeah.
But I just physically have only been able to get one session in. And that session was a 9 p.m. session in the evening, which I tried to, with a newborn in my house, I'm trying new things. I can't get to the gym at 5 a.m. because we've got work. The daytime, like I said, I feel ultra guilty for trying to train. So I'm going in the evenings now. But my minimum effective dose is 3 times is enough for me to maintain my fitness and my physique. It is enough for me to keep what I have. So just because I am a professional and I am a personal trainer, strength and conditioning coach, call me what you like, doesn't mean that I train 5-6 days a week. I would love to, but it's just not reality sometimes. Where if we flip the script to you, I know that training is the integral part of your day, and you will schedule your day around that, the way you eat, the way obviously you prepare your work, everything prepares. But you do train 6-7 days a week, and it'll be like, you might be 3-4 weeks in and you start getting a bit of a cold, you start getting a bit run down. And
I'm like, why am I so tired?
I'll always ask that question. When was the last time you had a rest day, Charlotte? And you'd be like, 21 days ago, I think. Or when I was last on holiday. But again, it's like this.
There's so a lot of variables. And the similar thing, obviously, the main difference between you and I is I have a period and you don't. So if my cycle comes and I'm so exhausted and fatigued from that, and if we're using my mum as an example, menopause, so she's going to be going through that, that is going to have such a predictor on where you train, because it doesn't affect, personally and individually, my period doesn't affect me too much when it comes to my training. But I can feel quite fatigued some days, and I can feel quite exhausted that my training has to go, maybe I can only do like a 30-minute workout rather than a normal 45 to maybe 60-minute workout. So I think that question is really great, but so individualized. And I guess I would say you've just got to see what works for you. But also, if you're just starting out at the gym, don't start to swim in the deep end. If we take
your mum as the prime example, who's got a busy 9 to 5 life.
Yep.
We would sit down and say, let's just have you training 3 times and get out walking. I think she is,
yeah. I'm sure she swims one of the days and weight trains a couple of the other days. Like that's all she does, because she understands as well that there's just no way she could be through in the deep end and start training 5 times a week. 1, it doesn't fit her lifestyle, but 2, it doesn't fit her capacity. Like there's just no way she could do that.
You've got to build it up, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And exactly. I do feel like if you think of the people that we work with on a daily basis, we've got such variety of beginners to people that have been training for, quite a while, but we say a long time. 5 years, 4 years isn't a long time. You're still in your infancy in your training life if you've been training 4 to 5 years. But a lot of people still think less is more. And the amount of conversations I've had over the years of trying to tell someone who trains 5 days a week, just train 3 or 4 times a week and spend more time focusing on your sleep, more time focusing on your food, more time
recovery,
getting out and getting your steps in, listening to Inside the GC podcast instead, go for a walk, is going to get you closer to your goal rather than training 5 or 6 times a week, where everyone is in that mindset of I need to train every single day.
Every day.
Where that is just slowing people down. But I get it. I get that I want to train 7 days a week for my brain, for my mindset is what I want to do. If I had it my way, I'd train on Christmas Day. I'd train on my birthday because I love to do it.
Yeah.
But it's trying to find the right balance for the right person, right?
Yeah, definitely. And once you find that and you know what works for you and you know you're seeing the results, then don't change it. Like don't fix what's not broken or something like that. So you don't need to change the intensity or change the frequency. Like if that's what works for you and your lifestyle, keep it to that. You know, I think the minimum that I probably train is 4 times a week like that. But that would be if like something came up, if I got ill, if I got sick. But that's what works for me. I find that works for my capacity. Have I tried anything different? No. I could trial and error a couple of less days and see whether that works. But like you just said then, I train for my mental health more than anything. So that's why I probably train as
well. I would question you on that with your intensity, or the second part of this question. Mm-hmm. You have trained differently. You have predominantly done a lot of running.
Yeah.
And bodybuilding splits. And now you're doing a lot more sort of full body training, full body sort of splits.
Yeah.
So the way you train, the intensity you train has differed. So how have you felt having that transition and training differently?
Yeah, definitely. So when I was doing more the bodybuilder splits and I kind of took out like any sort of conditioning, and at that point I wasn't even running, the cardiovascularly I didn't feel great. I obviously was just focusing more on the strength training. So you do kind of feel a bit, I felt a bit like slumpy. Like I wanted to bring some, is that even a good word? I don't know. I just wanted to bring some more conditioning into, and that's why I signed up for the half marathon and that's why I started running. Obviously that was then prior to meeting yourself and coming into the functional fitness space, which it's literally the combination of it. It's the hybrid, isn't it? Which I think is perfect for anyone who's training. The hybrid approach to training is so popular right now, but I get why it is so popular. I think it's really important to have working on resistance training and strength training to build muscle, help your bones, whatever. We all know how important strength training is, but then also having a conditioning element to keep heart health. Like you've got to be able to run up the stairs. You've got to be able to walk without getting out of breath. You've got to be able to, go into one movement to another quickly and agile, good reaction, whatever. Yeah, I've seen a massive difference in my overall. I think when I was prioritizing running last year because of my health, my strength went way down because I was running too much. Whereas now I have a happy medium. Like I run and I lift and I feel like I'm accomplishing both very well. Whereas last year I was probably way more a better runner than I was a lifter. And a couple of years before that. That was your
priority and that was your goals at the time.
That was literally the goals at the time. Whereas before that, 2 years before that, I was a better lifter than I was a runner. So now that I've got that mixed approach, it's better. And just kind of touching on that, full body workouts are great if you do have limited time.
Yeah.
Because you only have that allotted time period to get in, 3 full body workouts rather than if you were to do a 5-day split.
I have to interject there and make sure you guys understand when we say full body, that is not circuit training, just mashing a load of exercises together.
Yeah.
Because that is not what that is.
And that's not what we do.
And it's not what we do. And like, I have to also say like this word hybrid, hybrid training, hybrid athlete. Do
you like it?
I fucking hate it. Like there was that saying, isn't it? Hybrid athlete is hybrid athlete is you're a shit runner and an average lifter. You're not good at either. You're somewhere in the middle. If you
how you see that word?
Because if you go back to what this actually is before the hybrid word and hybrid trainings, that's strength and conditioning training.
Yeah,
strength and conditioning has existed since before times. We're talking like 50 years old.
Yeah,
where you have days where you strength train and you have days where you do conditioning. That is the base of most training programs that have ever evolutionized over the years. That falls into how rugby teams, football teams, the fighting world train strength conditioning. You have strength days and you have conditioning days to make sure that you're getting stronger, but you're also getting fitter. And then as the evolution of the fitness industry has evolved with the competitions and the hierarchies and all this stuff, it's just a buzzword. But what it really means is you're a shit runner, you're an average lifter. You're not one of the
well, I don't do hybrid training, guys.
You're, the base of what you do and what we do is strength and conditioning. It's as simple as that. But strength and conditioning doesn't sound as sexy as hybrid.
Yeah, I do
and
like the
sex
word
sells,
hybrid.
and that's what it is. But yeah, that's literally what it goes down to. Your strength training and your conditioning training. And that also veers off to sort of what the CrossFit world was, because the CrossFit is mixed modality where you have strength events and you have fitness events and you have gymnastic events and you have all of these combined into one to make a CrossFitter, not a hybrid athlete, but hybrid is the word that we're using in 2024. But the t-shirts you can get now that say shit runner, average lifter equals hybrid. Yeah. But really it's just strength and conditioning. And that's all I've ever trained. And that's what I will train for the rest of my life. And that's what we do with our clients. And I've done with my clients. And that's what Affex, High Rocks, you name it. That's what it is. There's strength elements and there's condition elements.
Yeah.
Not hybrid elements.
We're all hybrid athletes, guys. Okay, cool. Right. Well, that's kind of going into our next conversation because I guess this one is, well, this is all about what type of training should I be doing? Again, a lot of elements to this, but you go ahead. You
what type of training should someone be doing?
Yeah, so one of the questions was like, so, I guess it depends on your goals,
yeah,
hey?
like we need to, how can we do this?
Hypothetically.
Because, we need to sort of try and talk to the mean average person. Because obviously people that may come to us will be exactly that. It's like Charlotte said, there's so many variables. Age, kids, no kids, what your work life is, primarily what your goals are. What do you want to get out of this? Do you want fat loss? Do you want to get stronger? Do you want to be able to go and do a High Rocks? Do you want to be able to go and do your local half marathon? Yeah. Do you want to go and do your Tough Mudder? Whatever it is, it goes back to what your goal is and who you are. Okay.
I feel like an average goal for a lot of people is get stronger, get fitter, and lose weight and tone up.
Yeah, so what I believe and the way that I've structured the training methodology.
I hate the word tone, by the way.
Yeah, well, it's just, again, that's a buzzword that the people use, but to us, it's just putting on lean muscle.
Yeah,
but
building
if I said to a female, you're going to put on lean muscle, they'd be like, oh God, I don't want to do that.
I know.
But if I said, you're going to get toned, they'd be like, oh yes, please. It means the same thing. That's your language and that's our language.
Yep.
But the methodology I feel everyone should be doing, we've just touched on it really, is strength and conditioning. It's a bit of both. You need to think cardiovascular, like CV training, cardio, that is just training your heart and your lungs. That gets you fitter. And then resistance training obviously works your muscles. So everybody needs an element of both. You should be able to go up and down the stairs without getting out of breath. You should be able to run away from danger if you need to without getting breath. You should be able to run after your kids, your grandkids, whatever else. And you should be able to be fairly strong. You should be able to get someone off you, pick something up. Like that's just the base of everything. So I've always approached the foundation of any training sort of pyramidal block that I've ever had of any client ever, regardless if they're a marathon runner, they're a fighter, whatever, is we're going to have the strength and conditioning piece where you're going to do strength and we're going to sort of add in more of what you need. But I think the prime example here, what we could be thinking about is let's take someone who comes from a big commercial gym who's been doing spinning.
Yeah.
They've just been doing spin classes and body pump classes for like a year. Yeah. The easiest way that I try to explain to people is if we had Charlotte and we cloned her and we had Charlotte A and Charlotte B. Charlotte A goes off and does a spin class where she's going to get really sweaty. Her MyZone or her Apple Watch is going to say she's going to burn a ton of calories. She's going to get really pumped up, listen to music. Woo, she's going to love it. Arms in the air, jumping up and down. Like they're fun classes. I get
vibe.
it. Yeah. She's going to burn, say like 800 calories in that session. Okay. Banked. But the moment she gets off the bike, those calories are in her pocket. She's done. But if Charlotte B comes into the weights room and does some basic lifting, just move some weights around really, she might only burn 300 calories. So on paper, 800 versus 300. If I ask you the question there, most people would point, well, cardio wins.
They're more attracted to
cardio burns more calories. That's going to make me lose fat. But like we said, when you get off that bike or you get off that running machine, that row, whatever it is, you're done. But the Charlotte who's been weight training for the next 24 to 48 hours, she's going to continue to burn calories because what's happened is her muscle fibers have then ripped in the most positive way that we can try to explain this to you. And the whole process for them bonding back and repairing is energy, as you burning energy. So that feeds into the last chat on the last podcast where we talked about your food, get enough protein in. If you're eating
your
enough,
metabolic rate,
doing that, eating enough calories, eating enough protein, whilst that is happening and they're meshing back, you're burning more calories the next 24 to 48 hours. So hypothetically, you could be burning an extra 1,000 to 2,000 calories more because you've decided to do weight training. So when you're sat on your sofa watching Netflix or even in bed, your body, your metabolism, your body's burning calories, just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
So when you do weigh them up, what is better for me if your goal is fat loss? 100% is resistance training.
Yep.
But at the same time, you should have an element of cardiovascular fitness to go in there.
Yeah.
That's how we train in our gym with my clients ever has been strength conditioning.
Yep.
You have strength stuff and you have conditioning pieces to make sure that you should be able to go and run a 5K and be able to get through that quite easily.
Yep.
If you want to sign up to your local half marathon, you should be 6 months away from doing that. But at the same time, if you want to go and jump into a high rocks, again, you should be 3 to 6 months away from doing that. But it's about finding out what that individual needs. But in terms, if your goal is fat loss, not weight loss, then 100% it should be resistance training.
Well, I feel like any goal requires strength and conditioning training, whether you're a runner trying to become a stronger runner. And we had this conversation literally on the way here, talking about how we've had a couple of runners come into our gym because they want to get stronger because they've been running their whole life and they want to become a more efficient, faster, stronger runner. And the only way they're going to do that is by strength training.
Well, they've recognised that there's something missing, haven't they?
Yeah. And maybe they're plateauing, or maybe they were, they weren't feeling very necessarily great.
Recovery, injuries, they're not actually getting faster.
They might have been seeing injuries as well. So like that's what we've been having in quite recently. Whereas on the flip side, if you're a strength trainer, and I guess I can say I came from that, I was more of a strength trainer than I was a runner. Well, actually I used to run when I was younger, but like I wasn't a long distance runner. I then went into running, but I prioritized the running a bit too much and then lost my strength. So it's about having the strength and conditioning element like half and half pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like having them both together collectively, working throughout your week, not prioritizing one over the other. Yes, if you went in for like a half marathon or a marathon, you're aware that your running is going to take probably about 60% and your strength might take 40%, just because you know you're going to have to get mileage on your legs. You're going to have to get some experience running because that's the race element. Whereas the strength piece should never go. It shouldn't ever go. That should be still a high priority. And that's going to help you prevent injury, become stronger, become more efficient, and also still have the enjoyment factor in it, because I don't know anyone can tell me they enjoy running. It literally sucks.
And you need to think, if you are weight training, that directly feeds into actually making you a better runner. Like you just said, injury prevention,
stronger legs,
more muscular endurance, that actively makes you a better runner.
Yeah.
But if you're coming from the other direction and you're someone who's lifting, and you take out the lifting element, you just do the running, that doesn't feed into that. Just doing more running will make you an even worse person in the gym. Your resistance training is your strength, everything is just going to deteriorate. So one helps running, weight training helps running, but running does not help your strength, obviously, and your weight training.
And also a lot of people who naturally just like lift and then they go to run. I mean, this is probably the topic from last week or the last episode about the nutrition. People then don't fuel themselves enough, and that's why your strength sessions probably feel like utter rubbish, because you're not fueling yourself pre and post your runs, and then you're going to go and lift and you have not enough energy to lift because you've just ran or you ran a couple of days ago.
Well, people don't understand that it's stress, it's additional stress. You've been at work and you're stressed. You've been at home with your kids and you're stressed. And then you're going to run or you're going to weight train. That's additional stress. So it does have like an after effects the next 24, 48, or even 3 days. So the energy does drop.
Yeah.
But the other thing to think about is when you do stop training, weight training, whenever you're weight training, resistance training, you're working obviously your muscles. So we can use that word tone up, lean up, whatever you want. You're going to have that shape on you.
Yeah.
But there's such thing as running the arse off of yourself. You can run and run and run, and you're going to lose your physique. Like if you just cast your eyes to any Olympic games, you look at the sprinters versus the endurance athletes. If you look at Mo Farah compared to one of the sprinters, Mo Farah doesn't spend much time in the gym, probably just some prehab and post-hab stuff. That's about it. Where the sprinters, the majority of their work actually takes part in the gym.
Yeah.
Literally strength training, explosive, power cleans, deadlifts, lifting heavy ass weight as fast and as hard as they can, which then fills in and makes them a faster athlete on the track. They look great. They're the runners, the females that have got arses and abs and shoulders, and they look athletic and amazing.
Yeah, built legs.
Or then you look at the endurance athletes like Mo Farah, who just looks like he needs a good feed up and to be looked after. Yeah.
No, I totally get that. And I think that's when I was looking at like Keely Hodgkins, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Obviously, she's the 800 meter gold medalist in the Olympics. And she's like mostly on the track. like most of her training that I look at on her Instagram socials, like, yeah, she's got a bit going on in the gym, but you can tell she's more on the track with her 800 meters because that's what it requires. And the sprinters, for example, like we just said, the strength, the powerful, the explosive, like they are going to be inside indoor tracks, indoor gyms. And yeah, that's what it kind of feeds into. Like, I think what's important is what it is based on your goal, but just always knowing that the element of strength training, regardless of whether you're doing a run, a running event, doing a high rocks, yes, running is an element in those things, but having the strength is really important. And if you're strong, you will be a good runner. You will have a more efficient run, 100%. That's what it is with that one.
And also, you know, when you get the shopping out of your car, would you rather do 2 trips or 1 trip? Would you rather?
Well, I do multiple trips and I get told off because I drop.
Come on, you like to have all your fingers and be able to get it. You don't do that if you're strong.
No, I do that all the time.
Only pick your kids up if you're strong.
Yep, that is a good one.
I love walking to school gate. I hate it, but I love it. I've got 2 on me, 6-year-old and 3-year-old.
Yep.
Hard, but I'm able to carry both my children.
Want to be picked up.
I look around the school gate and I'm like, there's not many people that can do that.
Yeah.
They're literally not training.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the next kind of topic of conversation that we had and a question that we had, and it kind of feeds into, we just touched on a little element of it there. I know we mentioned it, is about overtraining and rest and recovery. So someone just simply was like, am I overtraining? And it kind of feeds into the first kind of question about like, how many rest days should I be having per week?
Again, based on the individual, depending what their goal is and how often they're training. But that is one of the biggest mistakes, is just overtraining. All of the gold, all of the magic happens when you're asleep and you're resting.
Yeah.
When you have trained hard, so you've emptied the glass, filled the glass back up with some good nutrition, and then the magic is happening during that recovery. But if you're not giving yourself the opportunity to top your glass back up with sleep, with food, with rest days, and you're just going back into your session with another half a glass or a quarter of a glass, you're just going to drag yourself through the session. You're not going to get 100% out of the session. No. So there's going to be no progression from a training standpoint because you physically can't, because you don't have the energy to. Yeah. So you have the intention of getting better. You're taking 1 step forwards, but you're actually taking 2 steps back because
every time
you're not letting yourself.
It's like recover. A crack in the glass is just seeping out your water all the time.
That goes back to me, like 3 days is enough for me. If I'm honest, if I train 4 to 6 times, my immune system takes such a hit. Like, because I try and train as hard as when I go into the weight session, I'm training as hard as I can. I'm training to the point where my eyeballs are,
like your intensity.
My veins are popping, my eyes are coming out of my head. Like, I'm training hard. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But the next day, it's not necessarily that I get DOMS anymore, but my central nervous system is toasted. Like, I can't grit. Like, I'm tired. I'm knackered because my sleep is shit. I've got 3 kids. I'm sleeping 5 hours tops. My food is all over the place because that's my current lifestyle at the moment. Yeah. But I need those rest days. So 3 days is enough for me to do what I need. Anything more, 5, 6, my immune system is getting toasted. So when I go back in the gym, I'm like, oh, I've got to train legs today. Yeah. Just the thought of it is like, I can't even get down there because I'm not recovered enough.
You're not recovered. And I think
that recovery can come in many ways. It can come obviously sleep and food, but it can also come by just getting your steps in. It can become by your ice baths, you're just going steam rooms, that kind of stuff. There's so many ways that you can get that recovery in.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree with you. It's, again, these conversations or these topics are quite difficult because you don't know the individual that are asking the questions. But what we're obviously wanting to say is like, this is individualized to you and it's what's trying to work what works best for you, essentially. So obviously for me, like, I go from like 1 to 2 rest days minimum. Sometimes a run for me might only be like a 4K run, and it might be like super chill, super easy pace. And that for me is like an active rest day. It's not too much stress on myself. Like, it's, my cortisol isn't shooting through the roof. I'm just going for a simple light plod. Could even just be a walk. I might as well just be walking sometimes when I'm running, if I'm running that slow. So it's just about, even on those days, as long as you feel like you're not super intense, like obviously you have 3 intense days where I would say like my like 5 to sometimes 6 days, they're kind of like every day. Some days might feel more 90%, some days might feel more 50%. I think for me, it depends on how I'm feeling on that day, depends on my cycle, depends on my sleep, depends on my food. Whereas at least for 3 days, you're going to get in all of your work intensity and that's what works for you. Whereas I find I can do it over like 5 days. I probably strength days strength days are probably 4 days a week and I run 1 to 2 times a week. So again, I think it works on you and your lifestyle and what you're trying to achieve. I personally
also think that word intensity, the perception of intensity is people just think that is going to the gym and just fucking yourself up.
Yeah.
Smashing yourself to pieces.
Yeah.
Hammering the skis, hammering the bikes.
Sweat dripping down your face.
Soaking wet, chucking a sled around, killing yourself. That is an intensity. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's doing
random.
nothing. That is random. Random programming gets you random results, period. And it doesn't serve you anything. But when my word of intensity is I'm not chucking crazy weights around, jumping up and down, doing a million burpees on off the ski ergs, whacking the hell out of myself. I'm not. My intensity is I know what I need to bench. I know what I need to deadlift. I know what I need to squat. And those are my numbers. So I'm making sure that I'm sticking to my rest periods. I'm making sure that I'm completing all my sets, all my reps. That is the level of intensity. It is not just going to the gym and absolutely shagging yourself, doing a random circuit where you come out, look at your watch and going, I've done 1,000 calories and my t-shirt is soaking wet.
Yeah. Woohoo.
That's getting you nowhere.
No.
It mentally makes you feel great.
Yeah.
Like, I've had a really good session today. So you're mentally feeling like that's what I need. Endorphins are flowing, but that's not getting you stronger. It's not going to help with your cortisol levels are shooting way high to the roof. If you're doing that every single day, you're slowing down your ability that you're not going to be burning fat. There's so many variables that are changing there from over intensity training every day. And we see it all the time where people just go and they're jumping on ergs every single day and just absolutely hammering themselves. Goes back to that conversation piece about simulating hierarchies all the time. That just does not work.
No. And I love that little stop at the end of that. Full stop. No, yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's where a lot of people are now getting into. And I mean, we had a question about like running out. Is everyone overcomplicating it? And I think that kind of links into kind of what you said then, like high rocks, are people overcomplicating it? And I'm going to say, yes, they are. Like people feel the need to, I mean, this is flowing around everywhere. Like people feel the need to do high rocks simulations, high rocks workouts to be better at high rocks. And as we all hopefully know, it's your strength and conditioning element that we keep going on about and banging on about that gets you better at high rocks. And then obviously prioritizing your running to an extent, because at the end of the day, it is a compromised running race. Like you're having to have mileage on your legs. If someone was to go in there having no running experience, I'm sorry, you're going to have the worst time of your life. Like it's a running race. And I think that's where people are with high rocks overtraining, I would say. People are doing too much and then they get into the actual day and they're finding it difficult because they're so fatigued that they've overtrained and they've done too much.
Yeah. I don't want to be rude here, but at the same time, this is unfiltered fitness advice, so enjoy it. Dumbing it down even more than that is if you signed up to the Great Northern Run, which you did, there's no chance in hell that you would simulate that on repeat.
No, you would never do a half marathon.
Fucking way would you ever simulate that.
No.
You would be breaking that down into little periodized sessions, which would then accumulate over time to allow you to then on the day
progress,
go and do that, do that race. With a marathon, with a half marathon, you would never go, I'm just going to go and simulate a half marathon today. That would never, ever happen.
No.
And this is, again, we're going to struggle getting an affiliation here. I'm not bashing it because I like it to the point where you can go, I can go, my mum can go. It's so open to everyone to be able to come and enjoy fitness. And there's that constant challenge. I absolutely love that. But what I hate, so I don't hate high rocks. I hate the influencers on Instagram that are showcasing how they don't actually train, but how people think that they train. And people think because that's what they post because it's sexy of them just simulating. They're not going to post their boring shit because it's boring. You don't want to see them doing their boring strength work. You want to see them doing simulations. So because you see an influencer doing simulations, you then think you need to do simulations because that's the only way to get better at high rocks. But that goes against every principle of strength and conditioning ever. Strength and conditioning, weight training has been around since fucking the dawn of time, since the Roman times. And it goes back to the same principles. So simulating isn't going to get you anywhere. You have to have strength sessions and you have to have conditioning sessions. And then on the very occasion, getting closer to the race, you would then do mini simulations so you can have an understanding of what it's like to work for that time, because you just need to be able to work for over an hour and a half. A football match is 90 minutes, but you don't play for 90 minutes. You have a half time in between, and you probably have loads of breaks. Depending on the position you play, you stand around quite a lot. You don't simulate game after game after game after game. You train all week, breaking down what is required of you in the match, and then you go and play on the weekend. That is the basic principles of any training program. Whether someone came to me and they're a water polo player that I've never watched in my life, I've never played it in my life, obviously, but I would have a breakdown understanding of what that athlete needs. And it goes back to the basic foundation of that strength and conditioning pyramid that then builds out a training program. And it applies to water polo, high rocks, affects, marathon training, weight loss, fat loss, bodybuilding. It all goes back to the same principle.
Yeah.
So it is about have people like you and I having to educate people to really understand that that is not the way, because there's so much mess and noise on Instagram of influencers lying to you, by the way, people lying to you about how they're training, because that's not how they train.
No.
They still have a day where they do back squats. They're still doing deadlifts.
Or you would hope.
Yeah.
Or you'd hope.
It's it's one of those where I know they are. It's simple as that. I know they are, but they just don't show you that. So it goes back to that. Doing wall balls on repeat isn't going to get you better at wall balls. Having stronger shoulders and stronger legs and having a better endurance and a better engine on you is going to get you better at wall balls. So if you can throw around a 30 kilo, 20 kilo bar on thrusters, that's going to get you better at doing wall balls.
Yeah.
The skill element is understanding how the ball bounces back to you and be able to thread them together.
Yeah.
That's the
being able to receive and that's
a skill. They're the pieces that you might have to practice now and again.
If you've not done them before.
If you've never done them before.
Yeah.
But then the other thing, which is this is another question we had, it goes back to expectations. And again, we're going off a tangent here with high rocks, but people, the normal person, the normal general population person out there thinks that if you're getting 100 wall balls, you've got to be done. Thinking that it's not okay to break them up in 10s or even 5s, like then you have to string them all together. That's not how it works. You've got 100 reps. That's 10 sets of 10.
Yeah.
Without a single no rep.
Yeah.
If you do them properly, rather than doing in sets of 20 and getting 5 no reps.
Yeah.
So you're probably doing 50 more reps than you need to.
Exactly.
Breaking it down, stop overcomplicating it.
Yeah, and don't have such high expectations.
Exactly.
Unless you're someone who does a high rocks on repeat and your goal is to get like a sub 130, whatever, you have a time goal, you've already put that expectation on yourself by setting yourself that time. So you're going to be expecting that every time you do one, you see an improvement based on the training that you're doing. Look at the training, what you're doing. If you're not seeing that improvement, you have to look at your training, because if you're training consistently, if you're sleeping well, if your, active recovery is okay, your rest days, your food, you need to be looking at your training to be like, okay, well, clearly something's going wrong here. Am I just simulating all these workouts, and is that why I've not seen a change in my time? Or is it maybe it was a bad day, one-offs, whatever. But if it's consistently and you're not seeing that progression, it's got to be down to your training element.
Yeah.
Massively. Yeah.
And we've had this recently. We've had this weekend, there's a high rocks coming up, and we've got a bunch of clients going to it.
Yeah. Really excited.
Really excited for them. They're really excited. But the week before, obviously the pressure's now coming in.
Yeah.
Phantom injuries are popping up.
Yeah. I saw had a few people say I've got a cold.
Phantom injuries are happening. Expectations of thinking they're going to have to get world-class times. Yeah. It's like, come on, let's think. What does your life look like for the past 3 months? How many holidays have you been on? How many times have you been sick? What's your training endurance been looking like? What's your food been looking like? What's your stress? What's work like? What's sleep like? What's been going on in your life? Was that better or worse than the last time you did it?
Yeah.
Because if progress was linear and we had none of that in, of course, we'd expect you to be getting better every single time. But that's not always going to happen to you. So it's amazing that you do them in the first place.
Yeah, it's an incredible accomplishment.
The more you're training, the fitter and stronger you're going to get anyway. So you should in quotes, be getting a better time.
Yeah.
Just naturally, because that's just how the progression works. But the expectation of thinking that people have to get really close to this golden hour, which is where all the professional athletes that are full-time coaches, ex-professional athletes, now turned high rocks athletes are getting, people place themselves so close to them and think they need to be getting close to that hour, which is just not reality, because they don't work. That is their job. They train 3-4 times a day.
They're paid to do that.
You've got a job, you've got kids, you've got work, you've got stress, you've got a partner, you've got birthdays, all this. You've got life in your way. So just doing a high rocks in the first place is amazing.
Yeah.
And that should be enough. You should get across the finish line, look back and be like, fuck yeah, I did that. Well done.
And it's intense. It's an intense sport. Would you call it a sport?
It is a sport.
Yeah.
It's turning into I mean, now they're going to start blood testing and drug testing.
I actually heard about
then
that.
Now that is a sport. And now you're going to see, I bet you any money, watch all the people next year that start pulling out, not females, but guys. You watch all the guys that start pulling out, now they start drug testing. That were getting sub hours.
That's crazy.
That's
I
going to
actually
start
can't
happening.
believe they're actually drug testing high rocks.
Good. If it's a sport and you're getting paid for it and you're getting sponsorship, you should be drug tested.
Yeah, that is true because people are winning.
You're winning money.
Win money.
You're winning sponsorship and you're winning money. So if you're good enough to do that and you're getting paid for that, then it's only fair to make sure that you're on a level playing field like everybody else.
Yeah, that's very true.
But then with that same conversation, we've had this where people do get disappointed with the times that they got. And then you do have to look back. How's your training type changed?
Yeah.
We've seen this ourselves with people that are no longer in our gym. Their training type has changed.
Yeah.
They've gone from strength conditioning training to simulation training and nothing has changed in their times. Mm-hmm. Obviously, lifestyle gets in the way like we just spoke about, but you have to go back. Was you doing the wrong thing the whole time?
Yep. Was that change not right? Like as in, like you say, if they're just doing the simulations and increasing the running, which we're saying is the main
it's
thing.
A running race.
You do need to have some running, training in there. But is that being the priority? Like, is that going too far over on that side and not enough strength training? And that's the issue. But yeah, like you say, the expectation one, I think I was listening to another podcast with like Lucy Davis, who just set the new world record.
Who's a full-time professional athlete.
Full-time, used to be a swimmer, like does ultra marathons, you name it. And this is what she does for a living.
No kids.
This is her lifestyle. Trains twice a day, and she just got the new world record in the open female category. And she got quite a bit of grief actually because she should have been, everyone was saying, of course you were going to be fine in open category, like open female category. You should have done pro as you should have done pro as your first one, which I don't really agree with.
Was it her first one?
Her first single was by herself.
She just that's
what I said. Yeah. I was thinking that the same. She had so many nasty comments about saying, you should have done pro. That's really unfair. You're not the average person. No, she isn't the average person. I agree. She's not the average person.
First time doing it.
But for her, it's a bit of fun. For her, it's just enjoying it by herself. Normally she just doubles with a sister. So but it's also not having the expectation that you're going to go and be Lucy Davis because you're not, because not even I have that expectation. Like there's no way that I would be anywhere near her because A, it's just 3-minute kilometers, which is absolutely insane. But also she does it for a living. So that's where it's like you say realistic expectations. And also, if it is your first high rocks and you're about to do your first high rocks, do not set yourself a goal target time. When I did my first ever half marathon, I said to myself, yes, it would be nice to get a sub 2 hour 30, but I didn't put the number out there because I was like, if I don't get it, I don't get it. It's my first one. I set myself a standard and then I aim to beat that. And that's what I did. And the second time I did a half marathon, I got my time for my first one and then I got better for my second one. That's what I suggest doing. Going out there, telling yourself I'm not going to get a sub 1 hour 30. I don't want to get a specific time. It's going to put less pressure on yourself than saying, I would like a 1 hour 22 or whatever. Yeah. Like take the time out of it. Time, just enjoy it.
Your time means nothing.
You'll forget about it the next
the time it took you to do it means nothing.
Yeah.
Your effort,
the training,
the sacrifice that you did is everything.
Yeah.
You're not determined by your time. And that's why I know there's people that cross the finish line and break down in tears and they've looked around and seen the time because they're so disappointed.
Yeah.
Your time is not a reflection. Your effort is a reflection. Did you go out there and enjoy it? Did you give everything you got?
Yeah.
Cool. Learn the lessons from that one.
Yeah.
Put it into the next one.
Yeah, like can you look back and say, I put all the effort in that I could have for that race? Sometimes it's just the day or just the week leading. Like as long as you know you put the work in, that's all you can say. Yeah, if you were to never train in your life and turn up and do one and then get a really bad, not a bad time, but you know what I mean, a time that you didn't expect, then you can't look back and say you didn't put the work in because you didn't. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but I feel like that was a huge tangent on high rocks.
Big one. What's next? What's the next question?
Next? Okay, so I guess this kind of links into high rocks. It's just, well, not high rocks, but competitions in general. And it was talking about conflicting goals. Like we've had a few members in the gym as well want to lose weight or want a specific goal, aesthetic goal, but then also want to go on and do a competition. And they are very conflicting.
Yeah. Really good question as well. Whoever asked that.
Yeah. So, I mean, personally, if I'm wanting to lose weight and do let's say a half marathon, that will never work. You will literally run yourself to the ground. As we know, you need food to run. You need a lot of fuel to run because you're not only running, as we've just said then, you're also strength training. So you're doing the combination of two. That's a lot of load on your body. It's very taxing. The only way you're going to get energy in is through food. So, and you can't do that if you're in a calorie deficit. Like I said last week, first episode, running is not a tool for weight loss. It's not. So if you're wanting to lose weight, but you're also running to do a half marathon, you need to get those goals out of your mind. It's either you do the half marathon, you train well for that, you eat at maintenance, you fuel well, you recover well. As a byproduct, yes, you see changes in your physique when you do strength training, when you run. You see the difference as a byproduct, but do not get yourself in a calorie deficit for running. Like, just do not do it.
Yeah, we have that. Someone will come to us because their primary goal was, I want to drop X and lose fat. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, this is what you need to do. This is your calories. This is your protein. Everything we spoke about in the previous podcast. Mm-hmm. On your journey, you go. Yeah. And then as they progress through the gym world, then obviously these things pop up, and that's what we want in our gym. The member journey in ours is they come in for that exact reason. Mm-hmm. They'll start to get the hang of the strength training world and what it looks like and what it feels like, and their personality will start to change, and they suddenly become a fitness person. And we see it when they turn up in their first Gymshark outfit or they change their shoes to Metcons. I'd be like, you get it now. You're
that
part
was
of this
literally
world.
me.
But it happens to everyone. And then we have a game day every quarter for a reason. The reason why I first implemented that was because it gives you an opportunity to test drive everything that we've been working on for the past season. Yeah. It gives an opportunity for the community to come together, and it gives an opportunity for you to be competitive. And whether people like it or not, every single person in this world is competitive because we're a human. If the world was gone tomorrow and we had to go and hunt for our food, guess what? You'd be competitive chasing down that rabbit to go and eat it. If you say you're not competitive, it's because you're just used to losing. As simple as that. You don't like losing. Right. But everyone has that bit of competition in them, whether you like it or not. Mm-hmm. Think back to your job, school, whatever, everyone has that in them, if you like to admit it or not. But it gives you an opportunity to showcase that, and it gives you a little taste of what that feels like. Not even winning it, but just taking part in it.
A bit of healthy competition.
And going, wow, I didn't think I could do that.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Breaking limiting beliefs, which is one of the main things that we do and which is our tagline. Breaking that limiting belief system. So once they've done that and they've been around other members in the gym and they've gone, are you hearing people doing high rocks and affects and turf games? Then there is perk up and go, oh, I fancy trying that now because I like the game day. I've been working hard. I'm doing well in the gym. And then that opens up, pull back the curtain to this brand new world that they've never seen before, which is exactly what we want. But then comes a problem, because the original reason why you came in was because you wanted to lose fat. You wanted to lose weight, which we don't like losing weight because you're made up of fat, water and muscle. We like to go from body fat and how your dresses feel. Yeah. So now your goals are conflicting because you want to essentially get stronger and get faster to be able to either take part in your first high rocks or affects or turf games, but you still want to lose some fat. So you still need to be in a calorie deficit.
But to get stronger.
How can we get you stronger, fitter and faster when you're driving on half a petrol tank?
Yeah.
So that's when the lines get blurred. So that's when I believe it becomes seasonal, where the journey still is happening, where you're looking for that weight loss.
Yeah.
But because you've put this little goal in of you wanting to do something out of the normal, which is amazing and we want, then that original goal just has to be not guilt and rid of, but just sidelined. You're going to have to realize that Charlotte's going to chuck a few more 100 calories onto your plate every day, which is great for you. But that's what you need to be able to get stronger and better, to get fitter.
Yeah.
Because it's only a short time stamp of 2 months, 6 months. You're not going to put all the weight back on because your metabolism is firing up. You're training. You're
building muscle.
You've killed the clone from previous time.
Yeah.
You're not the same person that you was when you first joined. You've created all these healthy habits. You've created a different lifestyle for yourself now. but we just need to table that and understand that it's okay if you put on a few pounds. It's okay if the scales don't move at all, because your main goal right now is not that. Your main goal is to do this thing.
To get better at the competition.
To get better at this competition that you put in. And then once you've done that, then we can pull that goal back in, calories come down and go from there.
But you also might find that you might not want that goal anymore. Like you actually might be like, that the goal is irrelevant to me now.
I don't care about that anymore.
I actually don't care.
Because that will be a byproduct anyway.
Yeah, you'll see the change.
That might come slower, but that will come anyway. Because if you do focus on training, your performance, and all the things that we're teaching you, you are going to look better naked anyway eventually. Yeah. It's going to happen in the background.
Your physique changes throughout depending on your training. Like, obviously you met me when I just gone through a bit of a weight loss journey. So I was a lot smaller then than I am now.
You look like a lollipop.
Jake says I look like a lollipop.
If you look at her Instagram, scroll down to Charlotte's life before the GC. She looked great. Don't get me wrong, she looked great. But she looks way healthier now.
But it's because I was obviously running. So for me, and I said it then.
Running the arse off of herself.
Yeah, I did lose my strength and I did lose a little bit of weight. And I was a lot smaller then than I am now.
Question for you there.
Okay.
What was your cycle like then? What was your mental health like then?
My cycle was all over the place. Yeah, my menstrual cycle was all over the place. But I haven't had the best one anyway, but like it was a little bit, just from like eating disorder, my cycle's always been a bit irregular. Mental health, not the best. I literally not good. I love running. I love / hate it. I genuinely, do I like it? I don't know. I keep telling myself I like it, but I literally said to Shirley this morning, I was like, I hate running. I hate it more than I ever have in my life, but I love the feeling after the run. I think I remember Johnny Davis, like great runner, said on a podcast once, running is like the opposite of drugs. Like you hate it during the time, but afterwards it feels amazing. Which is obviously the opposite of when you take drugs, I guess. I'm not taking drugs, but hypothetically speaking, this is what I've seen.
Just because her mum's listening.
Yes, sorry, Mum. But that's what I've heard. So, and I agree. Like it's the worst when you're running, but I love the feeling after it. And I feel like I've now gone on to a tangent of something else. But
no, not at all. Not at all.
But yes, like obviously I lost my a little bit of my strength. I lost a bit of weight. I lost about 4 kilos. And then when I joined the GC and started doing it as a combination of strength and conditioning, and then obviously my food naturally went back up anyway because I'm waking up a bit earlier, so naturally I'm going to be hungry earlier and all of that sort of element. And I know that I'm fueling now because I started doing competitions. Like I entered my first Athex Ed, which I did in August, and then I did another one in October.
She's got the pros double with me next year.
We haven't announced that yet. Oops. Anyone who's listened to that will know that now. But yeah, Jake and I are doing it next year. I've got High Rocks in January. I've got individual Athex next weekend. I have no time to cut. Like I have literally 0 time.
But you don't need to cut.
I don't
also,
need
can we
to.
just say?
Oh well. Sometimes I feel like I do. Sometimes I feel like a fluffy bear. But
that's seasonal.
That's like you say, that's seasonal, and that's also dependent on cycle and stress normal. And sleep. And yeah, exactly. Like no journey is ever going to be linear. There's going to be some times where you're naturally feeling a bit thicker, sometimes where you're feeling a bit more leaner, and that is just literally how the roller coaster goes. But as long as you feel confident, as long as you feel strong, as long as you feel fit, as long as you feel healthy, they are the main things. Like I wish that everyone could just stop caring about the way that they look, especially when it comes to the fitness industry. Yes, I know we all want to look good, like you say. We all want to look good naked. We all want to feel confident in our skin. And I'm not against anybody having aesthetic goals. I still have aesthetic goals. But I really wish and I really hope that as the fitness industry evolves, and I do really see it, that this whole aesthetic perception of, that's the only reason why I'm weight training goes out the window. Yeah. I really hope that it ends up being more because you want to move better, injury-free. You want to be able to wipe your ass when you're 90. You want to feel like confident if you were to go out and do a competition and run. I really wish that those become the top things rather than losing weight. I think the blame
does fall on Instagram. It falls on social media because there is so much, what we spoke about in the very first podcast, there's so much noise and there's just so much. And you're looking at this, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? Should I be doing more of this? Should I be changing my program on? There's just so much noise out there.
Yeah.
But you hit it on the nail on the head right there. As long as people are feeling good and their mental health is good, and you know that you're progressing. It's as simple as that. And I hate...
And you're a healthy human being.
I don't like that everyone thinks it's about vanity as well, because people perceive weight training as bodybuilding and bodybuilding is vanity. Well, yeah, that is, yeah.
Yeah, going on show is...
Like, don't get me wrong, I don't like no action man, but I'm happy with my physique.
Yeah.
It could be better and I want it better. I don't give a shit if I have a 6-pack or not, because I just don't care about that anymore. No. I'm happy with my 2-pack or my 4-pack if I'm going on holiday, if that. But I think I've got a nice strong dad bod. I don't give a shit. But at the same time, if I take my top off on holiday, I don't want people to sit around and think, God, look at him, he loves himself because I've got some decent arms and a chest on me.
Yeah.
It's not about that, because that's not why I train. I train because the gym for me is literally my church. It's the place that I go to de-stress, to let my emotions out. That is my therapy. That is what I do. It's where I go. My gym walls have seen me cry more than anyone else has ever done, because that's where I can be myself and I can express and no one's around me. I do that to help me cope better with my day-to-day life, as simple as that.
Yeah.
So the point that people think it's about vanity, I want that to go, because it is a byproduct of just working. My years of training for the past 15 or longer years has been, that's a byproduct, because I've been consistent with it, because I do it all the time. You guess what? You get to look good for it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And I do get why people have aesthetic goals. Like, I'm saying I'm the same. Like, you want to look good. Like, you want to go through life of people, well, not all the opinions of people, but your opinion of yourself being like, yeah, I feel confident in that dress for my birthday, or yeah, I feel great on Christmas Day, or whatever. Like, I get it. Like, I was the exact same and still am. Like you've just said then, when you go on holiday, you want to look good, you want to feel confident. But I think that's where the difference is. It's feeling confident and comfortable is different to feeling like you're looking good, in my opinion. Because anybody of any shape and size can feel confident and comfortable, but they might not look like somebody else who feels confident and comfortable. Do you know what I mean? And two different people.
That goal will forever move. Psychology tells us when you get to something, whether it's financial, whether it's physical, whatever, you will always want more.
Yes.
You will never,
I knew you were going to say that.
Ever be satisfied. If I give you £1 million, in a year's time, you'll want £2 million. Yeah. If you have the body of, if you go and smash a marathon or body of your dreams, guess what? You're going to want more because you're competitive. That's what psychology tells us. You will always want more.
Yeah.
But as long as you are feeling better and looking, you're naturally going to look better. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. I remember actually saying to someone once, like, I don't feel like I'm ever going to be satisfied with life. So it's nice that you've said that. Have I said that to you? Yeah. Because I just feel like it's...
And I think I said the same thing to you then. I said, guess what, Charlotte? You're never going to be satisfied.
I was like, I just want to be satisfied. Why does it feel like when you want, or when you get something, you just want more?
That's why it's so important.
I'm literally just about to buy my house and I'm like, right, I want a car.
Well, and that's fine. But that's why it's really important that you reflect.
Yeah.
It's really important. And that members don't do this, or people that are on any journey don't do this enough. You don't just stop.
Yeah.
You don't just stop and look back over your shoulder. And I like to think of this is a mountain that you're climbing. Yeah. Like, your goal's at the top of that mountain. And that mountain is, you're never going to see that. You're never, ever going to see the peak ever. Sorry, you're never going to see it. But because you're constantly busy climbing, you've got your car, you've got your house, you've got your body, whatever else. No one ever stops to do this.
He's turning around for
how
those people
far?
not
I've just
watching.
turned looked over my shoulder. No one ever stops to look over your shoulder.
No, I know.
To see how far you've come, the lessons that you've learned, how hard you've had to work to get there. You always want more, but no one does enough reflection. And I can't preach enough how important it is. I do it on a daily basis. Preaching gratitude, because I take things for granted all the time, having healthy children, having a business that I have, having members that I get to work with, having coaches that I get to help. I love it, but I don't take enough time to do that. Journaling, I do it all the time. I write the same 5 things in my diary every single time. Nice. I've got the same, my favorite 5 quotes. I write the same thing over and over. I just get it out. And without reflecting on it enough, you don't really see how far you've come.
Yeah.
And no one does that.
No.
Even in the gym, every single person I've ever worked with in my life doing this has always come to me because they want fat loss. They want to, everybody wants to look better, period. But you're never going to be satisfied. So you just have to be really proud of how far you've come. Think back to day one. What could you do on day one? Not a lot. Probably couldn't do many burpees, or if any at all. Probably couldn't squat to depth. Probably couldn't deadlift. Probably could only survive a minute on a rower or a ski or whatever. You probably felt like you'd been beaten up with a hammer on your first day of your gym session. If you look at the person on day one to where you are right now, there's been a huge shift. Huge shift, but no one takes time to look back. You're just constantly looking forward to what's next, which is good.
Yeah.
And that's also important.
Yeah, you've got to have ambition and drive.
You've got to have that ambition and want that challenge.
And that want to improve and want to get better at something, whether it's your job, whether it's training, whether it is the next goal on your life, you know, having kids, buying a house, whatever. But I think like that's probably a great closing statement kind of to delve into. I know we're like just over an hour now, so I don't know whether or not you wanted to close it on that or delve into something else. We have obviously got a few conversations, but I think what a great thing to end on would be to say like, now that you've listened to this, we want you to spend some time reflecting now on where you've come and what you've done so far and write those things down. If any of the members are listening, I want you to write it in the group
anyone,
chat.
even if you
I want you to write in the group chat or message us.
Even if you just stumbled upon this podcast, even 3 years down the line from when it was very first shot, just take some time to reflect on the first version of you when you started your fitness journey. And like I said, if you've listened to any of the other ones, kill the clone is so important, because if you're constantly killing that clone, you are constantly making a new version of yourself. But it's really important that you look back and see how many clones you've fucking killed. Yeah,
I love that. That is a good one. And I mean, we have got a couple more, but I feel like do you want to delve into more? Or?
We can keep it there for another day.
Yeah, I think we can go for, I mean, we're probably going to end up having to do potentially in the future a part 3 if we're going to come back to this topic.
Well, if you have been listening to this like the live time, like when we've been releasing it, we are coming up to Christmas.
Yeah.
And that is one of the times where most people tend to put their foot on the pedal on the brake.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I do it. Like I literally said to Shirley this morning, December is normally a quite chilled month for me in terms of training. I'll just like do little things.
It's the best time of year.
I can't do that this year.
It's cozy, it's Christmassy, the food's great.
I have a high rocks.
The music's great. Like you're seeing your family. In my eyes, it's the best part of your year. If you're a Scrooge, I haven't got any time for you to see this podcast. I absolutely love Christmas.
Yeah,
and I can't wait to literally eat until I pass out on Christmas Day and Boxing Day and just do it on repeat. I love it so much.
I agree.
But I'm not going to stop training.
No.
I'm not going to stop. I know everyone's got busy weekends because you've got, you've got all your Christmas parties coming up and family.
Festivities.
It's a great time of year. And it's like, again, it's a chance to look back and reflect on what you've done this year. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the Christmas period. And I hate the whole New Year you thing.
Yeah, that's not a thing.
You've got an opportunity to turn the page. It's like, start a new chapter and go, right, I've smashed 2024 if you're watching this live. Mm-hmm. And now you're ready for something new, but it's not the time to take your foot off the gas pedal. If anything, it's like you have got more social events. You're going to be doing more eating, more drinking than you've ever done all year.
Yeah.
So it's probably time to just make sure that you are not missing your training more than ever.
Yeah.
Getting out and about, getting some steps, going on some walks with these people you've not seen for a while, for hot chocolate or, dog
just wake up a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, I know we're in the darker, colder months.
Like it was that winter arc you talked about a few episodes ago.
Yeah, winter arc. Get yourself up just a little bit earlier to train, even if it is just, a 30-minute workout. It's you putting, that effort in, you having that discipline, because your goals, they will become further away from you if you stop. If you slow down for 3 weeks, it'll take you 3 weeks to get back to that state that you were at to then get the goals even quicker. Like the goalpost will just keep going further back if you stop. So take this as an opportunity to not put the foot on the brakes, but just to like release it from the gas a little bit. Because like I've just said then, I can't this month, but I normally slow it down. Birthday, Christmas, all that sort of stuff. But, priorities, different priorities.
I don't know, I'd argue with you there because you still train.
Yeah, I will still 100% train.
That's who you are.
Yeah.
That's in your DNA. That's part of your day to day. You're not going to not train.
Yeah, no, I will.
You might be a little less observant of your food perhaps, but you're not going to not train.
No. I'll always keep, I'm way more relaxed around probably nutrition, I would say. I'll fit in some meals here and there. But I used to be crazy. I mean, I'm not even going into that topic, but I used to be crazy when it comes to my birthday and Christmas. I used to struggle massively with that period of time because it is about more food, less movement. Gyms obviously get shut around this period of time. You're spending more time with your family. But that's a different topic of discussion.
But don't be one of those people who I'm going to start Monday. I'm gonna do it next week.
I'm gonna wait for January.
Don't be that person, because if you keep doing that,
you'll delay it.
Well, you're always going to be that person.
Yeah, and you're always going to say, and then you're going to start the habit in January, not stick to it. Probably stop midway through January. Gyms are really busy in the first weeks, and then commercial gyms are really busy in the first weeks, and then you get 2 weeks, and you're like, oh.
Well, I think we talked about this before. Everyone? It's about trying to create some kind of routine through chaos.
Yeah.
You're always going to have to go to work. You're always going to have kids that are off sick. You're always going to have social occasions. There's always going to be someone's birthday. It's always going to be, there's going to be something going on. Guess what? December is just more hurdles for you to navigate. So if you can navigate throughout the chaos of December, which is fun chaos, by the way, it's not shit, it's a great time. If you can navigate through there, when it's easy and you haven't got anything in the way, it's the easiest ride that you're going to have.
Yeah.
So it's about understanding, like, what do you really prioritize? Is this thing really important for you? And how can I just make sure that I'm making sure that's top of my list?
Yeah. And if that means going down to 3 training sessions, but having them more intense than your 5 training sessions that you're originally doing, then do that. You know, that will work. That will still work for you. You know what I mean? That's an effective dosage that we say, and we take that to a T. So yeah, but I think it's a really great finishing to say, like, reflect on your year. Like, this will probably be our last episode
this
before
will be
the new year.
last episode of 2024. So just a quick thank you for anyone who's watched, anyone who's listened. This was on my personal goal list at the beginning of this year. I wanted to do 3 things. I wanted to launch an online product. I wanted to find a new gym, and I wanted to launch a podcast.
I love that.
And we've successfully potentially done all 3, which is great. So I can't tell you about one of them, but podcast has been on. This is episode 3. So thank you guys for tuning in. So just keep liking, sharing, giving us the feedback, because you don't understand how much your feedback means to coaches.
Yeah.
You guys might not want to reach out because you think you're bugging us sometimes. I don't know what it is, but when we get a message ever off of a client saying that they've had a good week, or they've had a win, or they've had this, or they've had that, or they send us a picture, you don't understand how much that lights us up as coaches. And
literally makes my whole week.
We need those messages, because that's what reminds us of why we do what we do. This is a hard job for us guys. It really is, coaching people. There's a lot of stuff we have to do that people don't see in the background. But when we get these little messages of, look how far I've come, or just wanted to show you this or tell you this, it lights us up.
Thank you.
We sit down, we share them with each other, like, we love it. So,
and like you say, it always comes at the times you need them.
Yeah, when you're having a shit day, you get a message like, okay.
This is why I do this.
I remember why I do this now.
That's why I wake up at 4:45 every day.
That's why the alarm goes off.
This is why I do this job. Yeah, I totally agree.
So keep sending us questions. Keep sharing it. Keep telling us that you're enjoying
any
it.
Topics that you really want to know.
We will keep asking questions on our Instagram to make sure we're covering everything that you guys need. There will be an online product that's being launched in the new year, so keep your eyes peeled for that if you are watching in live time, which is quite cool. We've got some online training, because obviously we know we've got many people all around the world that follow us and have been either clients of Charlotte's, clients of mine, or just what you can't get to us because you don't live in Milton Keynes, unfortunately, and we're not ready to spread our wings yet. But there is some online virtual personal training that's going to be coming for the new year, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yeah, really exciting.
But yeah, just keep liking, sharing, subscribing.
Supporting, guys. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, and the feedback's been awesome. But is it too early to say Merry Christmas?
I was literally going to say that. I was literally going to be like, so are we going to end this off by going, Happy New Year?
Yeah, I think we have to then.
If you are, depending on when you are listening to this, and this will be the last one of 2024. So I guess we can say, have the best Christmas, Happy New Year.
Have a guilt-free Christmas.
Yes,
that's the most important thing.
That's a good one. That's it. Have a guilt-free Christmas. Have a great New Year. And if you're listening to this and you don't come to the GC, then this is your opportunity to get on board. Black Friday is coming up. And yeah, like we say, online products, in person. We'd love to help you reach your goals in the new year and into 2025. So please reach out. Do not hesitate. Like, we're a very much open, judge-free zone gym. So come along.
Question, always ask us questions in our inboxes. They're there for a reason. It's never bugging us. Always happy to help with some advice, or we can put them into our podcast, which helps other people as well.
Keep them anonymous.
So yeah, just keep killing the clone, guys.
Have a good one.
Have a great Christmas, a guilt-free Christmas. Hopefully you've had some light bulb moments from the nutrition from this one that you can go and implement into your life.
Nice podcast.
And yeah, it's been a pleasure, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas. Too early.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
And we'll see you in the new year, 2025.
Yep. See you later. Bye.